Part 109. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1081. Whether it was Zhongwen or Kraken, it was the first time to encounter such a grand finale. 3 people entered the secret realm, posed, and said a few harsh words. They actually cleared the level without making a single move. Is there any justice in this world? A Chinese ghost story is not a puzzle-solving secret realm. From the beginning to the end, Brother Wen didn't know how much effort he had put in. In the end, it seemed that he cleared the level without doing anything. And the evaluation was quite excellent. Brother Wen, who was ready to fight hard, was shaken enough. Of course, if you think about it carefully, this result is also reasonable. Other players can't do this. First of all, it is not easy to get 3 masters like Zhongwen, Zhang Xiaoming, and Kraken. Because most people with this ability will not come to play games. Those who come to play games may not necessarily come to a Chinese ghost story. This world is not easy to mix. Many people were killed by their grandmothers in the initial stage. Even if there are masters to challenge the level, according to the development of the plot, after scaring off the grandma, whether Nai Xiaoqian is rescued or not, they will go to fight the grandma under the guidance of Yan Chixia. The tree demon is stronger in the nest, and fighting there is more dangerous, so it is better to fight outside. Therefore, this section is actually a hidden plot. It will only be triggered when the player's strength reaches a certain level. The reason why Xiaoming and his 3 friends can pass this plot without fighting is because of Xiaoming's strong mental power and the identity and ability of the ghost messenger in the underworld. It is impossible for others to send all the female ghosts into reincarnation before defeating the grandma. If it is rare for masters to play games, it is unique for the ghost messenger to play games. Unless Xiaoming plays a Chinese ghost story again, no one will play this ending again. All the protagonists, including the villains, are safe and sound, all the female ghosts are at peace, even the grandma has turned over a new leaf to a certain extent. You should know that the secret realm of a Chinese ghost story is a very high-level secret realm, and it is impossible to achieve a nearly perfect ending in such a secret realm. You can imagine what kind of rewards the system will give. Anyway, all 3 players are very satisfied. Kraken obtained a universal item basic chi training technique. It can be used by the player's character in the main game or in any secret realm. After using the chi training technique, the character will become a level 1 chi refiner, gain the ability to cultivate spiritual power, and embark on the road of cultivation. Kraken is an octopus man, and his chi training technique is naturally different from what Xiaoming got before. However, everything can be cultivated, let alone octopuses. As long as you start to cultivate, even if it is only in the game, it is a smooth road. Especially the Kraken clan has a long life and has enough time to cultivate. They have greater advantages in cultivation than humans. In reality, spiritual energy is scarce and it is difficult to find a suitable place for cultivation. However, the reincarnation space and magic planets can provide an environment with relatively sufficient spiritual energy. Without saying too much, it should be enough to cultivate to the golden core stage. Kraken didn't know what cultivation was before, but after being in the Mingjing team for so long, he basically understood cultivation. After understanding it, he yearned for cultivation. Unfortunately, he still hasn't had the luck to gain the ability to cultivate in the reincarnation space. In fact, as long as he talks to Xiaoming, Xiaoming can easily plant the seeds of spiritual power for him. But Kraken didn't know that Xiaoming had this ability. Xiaoming didn't know that Kraken had this idea. He missed the opportunity. Today, a secret realm actually embarked on the road of cultivation, and Kraken was very happy. But he hid in the robot, and Xiaoming and others couldn't see it. Zhongwen got the Yan Chixia summoning card. The number of uses is 3 times, and each time can be summoned for 30 minutes. Such a powerful character, if used in the current main game, it would be absolutely amazing. He can also show his power in the secret realm. On Brother Wen's chubby face, the thief light in his eyes kept flashing. Based on Xiao Ming's understanding of him, this kid is probably thinking about some tricks in his mind. What reward did Xiao Ming get? I believe many people can guess it. His universal treasure, the level 3 summoning cube, has 100 more female ghosts, occupying the 5th square. In fact, there are more than 100 female ghosts trapped by the tree demon grandma. However, the system reward is a full complement of 100 ghosts. Among them, the leader Nai Xiaoqian is a level 4 female ghost, and the rest are all level 2 to 3. It is equivalent to 100 ghost soldiers. With limited strength, they are not very useful in the main game. In some specific secret realms, they may still come in handy. Xiao Ming also accepted it with a smile. Grandma used these female ghosts to seduce men, so it must not be too ugly. These 100 female ghosts all look good. The leader Nai Xiaoqian is even more beautiful. Xiao Ming suddenly thought of a use and quietly began to experiment. What is the use? Let's keep it a secret for now. Wait until the experiment is successful. After passing the secret realm of a Chinese ghost story, there is still some time. The three of them played a few martial arts secret realm mini-games together to satisfy their fighting addiction. It was around 3 a.m. on September 10 when Kraken left with his spaceship. We no longer have to worry about losing contact. The three of us added each other as friends in the game. There will be plenty of opportunities to play together in the future. At around 6 a.m., Xiao Ming used the portal to take his sister home, and they had a good meal together. They went out for a walk. At about 10 o'clock in the morning, Zhang Wen was going home to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival. Xiao Ming and his sister sent him to the train to the south. Xiao Ming could open a portal to send him back, but Brother Wen refused righteously. Mainly because he didn't want to be too ostentatious, which could easily cause problems, so it was safer to take the train back. After Brother Wen left, Xiao Ming took his sister to play. This year's Mid-Autumn Festival is different from previous years. In the past, they just wandered around the city. This year, the brother and sister began to wander around the universe. It's a bit presumptuous to say that they went to the world outside Pangu Star to play. They walked around the private world, the Yanhuang 3-star system, and even went to the Sheneng 2 spacecraft. The brother and sister took the spacecraft transformed by Zhang Ren and went to play outside Sheneng 2. The computer system of the entire spacecraft, that is, Xiao Sheneng, is completely under the control of Xiao Ming. Normally, Xiao Ming would not interfere with anything. In a situation like today, Xiao Ming asks Xiao Sheneng to make himself and Xiao Jing'er invisible in all monitoring systems. Captain Xianku is an S-level expert, but he is not good at reconnaissance, and he has not recovered from his serious injuries. As long as Xiao Ming is careful, it is not difficult to hide from him. To date, Xiao Ming has repaired a considerable number of auxiliary robots on Sheneng 2. Basically enough. Butler Xianping no longer harasses Xiao Ming frequently. Xiao Ming has not completely let it go. It is always good to have more auxiliary robots. So he will continue to repair them, but not as frequently as before. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1082. Brother, this is Lao Zhao's Europa tea house. It's interesting. It's just so old-fashioned, just like Lao Zhao. After driving the spaceship for a while, Xiao Ming remembered the satellite Dragon King's sword shining coldly on Zhu. Last night, I celebrated the pre-Mid-Autumn Festival with Brother Wen and Kraken. Today, I celebrated the festival with my sister, so it seems that I should drop by to see Zhao Zhu. This way, no one is left behind, and it can be regarded as rain and dew. In terms of relationship, the relationship between this dragon and Xiao Ming is closer than that of the octopus. So Yin Xiaoming took his sister to teleport to Zhao Zhu's current home. The second satellite of Jupiter, the seabed of Europa. This ancient Greek-style tea house/temple, Xiao Jing just thought it was a bit old-fashioned. Say this kind of thing on someone else's territory, of course, it was discovered immediately. Little Jing I didn't offend you. Don't always say old, I'm only a teenager, much younger than your brother. A silver dragon circled around little Jing and its big dragon head stretched out in front of little Jing It was defeated by the two dragons playing with a pearl by the young and invincible beautiful girl. Little Jing knew from Xiaoming that Zhao Zhu was a dragon, but she didn't point it out to Zhao Zhu face to face. It seems that during the several reincarnation missions during this period, Xiaoming was not there, and the two of them got along well, and Zhao Zhu could already show his true self in front of little Jing The two of them and the dragon played for a while before sitting down. Xiaoming's visit made Zhao Zhu very happy. Although there are many high-end ingredients and many chefs in his dragon palace, the taste is still not as good as the food strengthened by Xiaoming's source energy. Ordinary people may not be able to judge the difference, and not everyone can feel the source energy. The dragon race is really gifted, and Zhao Zhu feels it more clearly. Besides, Xiaoming's energy block with source energy is still used as a decoration in his bedroom. So he has always coveted the food made by Xiaoming. But he is too embarrassed to take the initiative to eat for free. Xiaoming and his sister came to Europa, which made Xiao Yinlong very happy. Zhao Zhu ordered the sea servants to take out a lot of treasured ingredients and have a meal with Xiaoming and his sister. He has been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. Since he ate Xiaoming's enhanced food last time, Zhao Zhu wanted to continue to eat and drink for free. So he began to accumulate ingredients, originally intending to bring them into the reincarnation space to share. Unexpectedly, the plan went wrong. Xiaoming was selected by the underworld to participate in the civil servant interview. He missed several reincarnation tasks in a row. Zhao Zhu's ingredients accumulated more and more, but the cook was gone. This made Xiao Yinlong depressed for a long time. Today he can finally be happy. In fact, the best way should be that the chef in the Dragon Palace cooks the ingredients first, and then Xiaoming uses source energy to strengthen them multiple times. The food tastes best in this way. But Zhao Zhu was embarrassed to say this. In fact, he didn't particularly mind Xiaoming's lame cooking skills. The deliciousness of food, source energy accounts for 50%, ingredients account for 40%, and only 10% is related to cooking skills. And the chefs under Zhao Zhu can only do 5 or 6 points in this 10%. Then there is no need to trouble them. Besides, whenever a chef cooks, he will always taste the taste at any time. Xiao Yinlong was reluctant. The three borrowed Zhao Zhu's private room. Xiaoming was the main spoon cooking, Xiao Jing and Zhao Zhu were helping on the side. The so-called helping, in fact, is that Xiaoming is working alone, and they are pointing and talking beside him. If Xiaoming really needs help, he can grow an arms directly, so why would he need help from others? Zhao Zhu and Xiao Jing were chatting happily. Suddenly, he remembered something, apologized, and turned away. Xiaoming and his sister didn't care. After a while, he came back with a dozen natural devil fruits. "Master, take a look. This is what they gave you." They said it was an installment payment for the first half of the year. Xiaoming looked back and saw a total of 15 natural devil fruits, with strange shapes and patterns, and the completeness was about 20%. The 6 layers of ice and fire were very sincere to pay the half-year supply at once. Thanks to Xiaoming's agreement to trade with them, the duo obtained the Crystal Skull God's battle clothes of Tianquan Star. This harvest made them stand out in the organization and won some good rewards. Then they were also very motivated, and they had good harvests in several consecutive missions. So they quickly got so many natural devil fruits with 1/5 completeness. According to the spirit of installment payment, the earlier the payment is made, the less you can pay. The longer you delay, the more you pay. They are smart to do this. This time, there are more types of fruits, including smoke fruit, sand fruit, thunder fruit, ice fruit, sparkle fruit, magma fruit, and flame fruit, a total of 7. The specific number is 5 smoke fruits, 3 sand and thunder fruits, and 1 for the other 4 fruits. In this case, if someone knows the business, they will inevitably express their deep condolences to Smoker. As a natural fruit ability user in One Piece, he is really too embarrassed. He is not strong and appeared in the early stage. He was harvested most miserably by the reincarnation. The combat power of Crocodile and Enel is not weak, but because they appeared in the early stage and encountered the protagonist who restrained their abilities, the reincarnation also took advantage of them. The last 4 fruits, 3 from the 3 admirals of the Navy, and 1 from Ace. They are not easy to get. Although these 4 fruits are a little worse than the others in terms of completeness. But the value of these 4 fruits is definitely much higher. The 6th heaven of ice and fire took out these 4 fruits and showed real sincerity. The secret meaning is that they plan to continue to trade with Xiaoming in the future. They are still very smart. A master who can summon 3 Susanoo at the same time is certainly worth winning over and investing. Xiaoming did not immediately strengthen these fruits and feed them into the mouths of the 7th shadow clone. Now that there is a new red source energy, as long as it grows, Xiaoming can perform 4-fold strengthening. It doesn't matter if you wait for a while now. The more natural devil fruit Xiaoming has, the better. So the relationship with the 6th heaven of ice and fire is still worth maintaining. Xiaoming pondered for a while and took out a scaled coat of a servant from Guangmingding. He asked Zhao Zhuzhu to give it to Binghuo Liuchongtian and the others. This C+ level scaled coat was obtained from the underwater temple in the world of Saint Seiya. Actually, it was given to Feiying by Canaan, but Feiying didn't like it and gave it to Xiaoming to keep. Xiaoming basically didn't use it. He just left it in Guangmingding to collect dust. Now it's a good time to give it away to maintain the relationship. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1083. After eating and drinking, the 2 men and the dragon all felt full of energy but had nowhere to use it. If ordinary people ate so many delicious foods, they would just collapse on the sofa and be unable to move. But Xiaoming and the other 3 were all reincarnations, and they were strong. They would not collapse, but they were indeed a little uncomfortable. It would be great if we could find a place to move around and have a fight to vent our anger. Xiaoming suggested that we should play a black game like before. Xiao Jing'er also agreed. Only Xiao Yinlong sneered at the imagination of the 2, playing online games is too boring. I have a more exciting adventure game. I wonder if the leader and his sister are interested. Who is afraid of who? My brother is here. If you are powerful, just come at me. Xiao Jing'er's strength is not very strong, but her tone is not small. Although she has experienced several reincarnation missions, Xiao Jing'er's strength is still around sea level. After all, she did not use zombie blood to modify her own life form like Zhang Wen. She majored in spiritual power and is now at the top of the Qi refining stage, but has not yet established a foundation. She also cultivated a certain amount of telekinesis and learned stretchable love, but the effect is average. Xiao Jing'er once used the flower fruit with a completeness of about 61.8%, and also has the Zanpakuto Hiren Meru at the Shikai level. With these, she can have sea-level combat power. Unfortunately, these things seemed very good in the past, but now they are inevitably a bit shabby. My vision was not high enough at the time. Neither the Zanpakuto nor the Devil Fruit are top-notch versions. The telekinesis ability requires a long period of exploration and practice, and it is even more difficult to reach the sky in one step. Xiaoming is considering whether there is a way to replace the Zanpakuto and Devil Fruit for his sister. If it cannot be replaced, then he can only try to improve it as much as possible. The sister is average in strength, but her tone is very arrogant. Well, as a brother, I will back her up. Xiaoming will not be blindly arrogant, nor will he belittle himself. Of course, his own strength is not invincible, but if he can't beat her, it should be no problem to escape with his sister. It depends on what kind of adventure Yujian Guangan Zhaozhou is talking about. Xiaoyunlong asks slowly, Master, have you heard of the private world? Seeing Xiaoming and his sister nod together, Zhaozhou's long dragon face showed surprise. This made Xiaoming feel that the dragon race's grasp of the reincarnation space was not particularly deep. Zhaozhou didn't even know that he already had a private world. It can be seen that he didn't know much about Xiaoming. Zhaozhou's surprise was justified. Xiaoming has been a reincarnationist for only 2 months and a few days in reality. However, with 20 or 30 mission world experiences, it is reasonable that he should not be exposed to the private world. Xiaoyunlong suddenly realized, oh, I understand, it seems that someone has told the master. Well, it's easier to explain. Then Zhao told him another set of crossing systems closely related to the private world. The reincarnation space has existed for a long time. In fact, it has a much longer history than the universe where Pangu Star is located. Throughout the ages, many masters have their own private worlds. After these masters disappeared, what happened to their private worlds? There are probably several endings. The first is to join the real universe family. In the early days, there were S-level reincarnations everywhere. These masters have the ability to properly handle their private worlds. Most of them will choose to open the entrance to their private worlds and connect them with the real world. They even directly integrate their private worlds into the real world. All of these require very powerful props. The second is to die in disgrace. As the reincarnations disappeared, the private worlds lost their energy supply. They themselves have no new energy to maintain, and as time goes by, these private worlds will die out because of the lack of energy. The world of Beyond the Aquila Rift that Xiaoming visited before is a private world that almost died. It was only because Xiaozhu understood the red source energy and the evil Fangs Heishuan kept pulling people into the world that it was able to survive until now. Otherwise, it would have disappeared long ago. With a certain energy supply, the private world that will not die for the time being is the third ending, that is, it becomes an independent small world. These worlds do not have entry and exit passages open to the outside world, and often require special methods to enter. The Holy Land used by the Li family to cultivate direct descendants mentioned in the previous article can also be regarded as this type of small world. However, there are more unmanaged small worlds in the universe. Most of them are slowly dying out. It seems that they are traps. If someone falls into them without paying attention and has no ability to escape, they will die in them. They may die of illness, exhaustion, starvation, thirst, or old age. Sometimes, there are powerful people or monsters inside the small world, and they may find a way to break through from it to the real world. If the person who breaks out is a human, or a highly intelligent life of the same level, it is generally not a big deal. It is just another story of a time traveler. But if a monster breaks out, it often causes a lot of trouble. Sometimes even a doomsday disaster will occur. The monster here is broad. It may be a giant monster like Godzilla, or it may be a monster that cannot be seen by the naked eye like the T-virus. So it is not impossible for a doomsday like the Resident Evil to happen. The reincarnation space and the universe transmission network, that is, the time gem and the space gem, jointly launched a drift card. Using the drift card, the reincarnation can randomly enter an unmanaged small world. Because it is completely random, this kind of drifting is a relatively risky behavior. If your strength is not enough, it is best not to try. Because the small world that is close to extinction has no water, air, planets, or Earth, and some can't even maintain their material form. You may die as soon as you enter. And using the drift card is different from the reincarnation task. There is no resurrection mechanism in the small world. If you really die in it, you will be dead. Zhaozhou certainly can't take such a big risk. The props that go with the drift card are returned to the city stone. The person carrying the return to the city stone will immediately activate the stone when he is on the verge of death and return to the preset location alive. Of course, even if there is no threat of death, the carrier can actively activate the return to the city stone. It can also return to the predetermined location. This thing can work in the real world. It is a very good way to save life. Zhaozhou is indeed a dragon clan, with internal channels to get such good props. Xiaoming, the golden VIP of the reincarnation space, has never seen the two items, the drift card and the return stone. Seeing that Xiao Yinlong prepared a set of props for his brother and sister, Xiaoming was a little touched. This thing must be expensive. Zhaozhou can take it out to play with friends, and he is definitely a rich man among the rich. He is different from the fake rich man like Wen Ji before. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1084. I knew it was like this. Brother, which desert is this? Is it Africa? After the three used the drifting card, they collectively came to a dark planet. It was like a desert. The strong wind swept the sand and dust on the surface of the planet. The younger sister couldn't help complaining. But her action of spitting sand was too fake. Before drifting, Xiaoming had wrapped the two people and the dragon with a layer of mental shield, and added another layer of barrier outside. How could sand come in? This girl is just making a joke. Since most of the small worlds are worlds that are about to die, it seems that it is not strange to encounter such a world. Xiaoming released his mental power and scanned the surrounding situation. Help, help. A weak voice came from a distance, and a ragged and dusty man was looming in the wind and sand. He staggered towards Xiaoming and the others, calling for help. The two people and the dragon not only did not help, but laughed instead. This person who looked like he needed help had a terrible acting skill. He couldn't fool anyone. He wanted to show that he had a miserable life, so his clothes and movements were all right. But in such a windy weather, even if an average person shouted loudly, it would be difficult for his voice to travel far. It was too strange that his weak voice could be heard by the three people. Just being able to make such a sound was not something that an average person could do. After a while, the man had come to a place 10 meters away, stumbled and fell to the ground, and stretched out a hand to the three people. His eyes were full of pleading. Xiaoming and Zhaozhou could see clearly that this person was not a human at all, and his life energy was very strange. In Xiaoming's perception, it was a group of densely packed small life forms, which combined into a large life form. This human body was basically a corpse, and those small lives were parasitic on this corpse. It's just that this group of parasites can actually control the corpse's movements and even speak, which is also quite amazing. Xiaoming thought of the ninjas of the Abarame clan in the world of Naruto. Those ninjas also raised a lot of bugs in their bodies. But the ninjas themselves are alive and in a dominant position. This one is just a puppet. Xiaoming glanced at Zhaozhou, and shook his dragon head, indicating that he was not interested in fighting such a disgusting thing. Then he looked at his sister. Well, he couldn't bear to let his sister touch such a thing. He had to do it himself. A 7-star shadow clone appeared outside the barrier. When he walked over, before he touched the person, the other party had already taken the lead. A large number of parasites flew up from the corpse, piling up layer by layer on the clone, and desperately drilled into the clone. Maybe the original body was really unusable, so he planned to make a new one to play with. Xiaoming had already guessed this routine of occupying the magpie's nest and borrowing the corpse to revive. So the 7-star shadow clone sent out was also unusual. It was the clone that ate the thunder fruit with a completeness of 73%. The clone waited for a moment, and after confirming that all the insects had gathered on itself, the clone immediately transformed into a lightning state. In an instant, all the parasites were electrocuted to death. The insect corpses fell to the ground with a crackling sound. Xiaoming was not polite, and sent them all to the Yuya world to be eaten by the insect king Green Xiaoming. As for the human corpse, it was already riddled with holes and had no nutrients. The clone used the fireball technique to cremate the corpse, completely preventing the parasites from reviving. This planet has such strange life and human corpses, which means that it should be full of vitality. But the two people and the dragon walked around the surface of this planet for several hours. As a result, no living creatures were seen. Not to mention humans, animals, and even plants were not seen. It's strange, how can a planet with no creatures feed those parasites? Could it be that these insects reproduce by eating stones? It's unscientific. After all, it's the Mid-Autumn Festival, so it's okay to go to a place with good scenery. The situation on this planet is really too bad. The three of them had enough physical strength to hold on, but it was too boring. Xiaoming and his sister had imagined that they could go to a very wonderful small world, meet a group of strange people and things, and have a wonderful Mid-Autumn Festival. But the actual situation is that the world that the drifting card enters must be ownerless. Ownerless worlds are generally very desolate. Unless it is the kind of world that has just been locked as a private world by the reincarnationist, and the reincarnationist dies soon after. There is a high probability that a vibrant world will be left. When the reincarnationist uses the drifting card, 8 out of 10 times they will encounter a more desolate world. This is considered good. If you understand this, you will not feel regretful. Only Yujian Guanghanzao who will not give up. Before this, he was often recommended by his elders and brothers, saying how fun the small world is and how interesting the drifting card is. As a result, the first time he used the drifting card, he encountered such a disappointing world. He was too embarrassed to see the dragon. So he insisted on looking for it again. In fact, those dragons were obviously fooling little Silver Dragon, who foolishly believed them. In the end, it was Xiaoming who discovered the true situation of this world and persuaded him to come down. Activate the return stone together. The truth was recorded in the brains of the group of parasites. Although they were all dead and cooked, the insect king Green Xiaoming could still obtain some of their memories after eating them all. This planet is called Mavith. The group of parasites is called Hive. He was originally a human, not a bug. Moreover, Hive belongs to the Marvel Universe. Even the villain Hydra was founded for this guy. He was originally a Mayan warrior, and was transformed into an Inhuman by the alien race Kree. Each Inhuman has different special abilities. Hive has been able to survive until now, all thanks to his special abilities. Later, because he was too powerful and even threatened the Kree, he was exiled to this remote and desolate planet. Unexpectedly, Hive has a group of fanatical admirers among the Inhumans. They established a secret society with the purpose of welcoming Hive back to Earth. This organization later developed into Hydra. According to the original book, Hydra really took Hive back to Earth and caused a lot of trouble. Looking at the situation in this small world, it is probably that a reincarnation locked the planet where Hive was exiled and stripped it from the Marvel Universe. This trick is really vicious. No matter how powerful the Hydra is, it is impossible for it to go to the private world to rescue people. Beehive has forgotten how long he has lived. He doesn't even know what happened. He is still waiting foolishly. When he saw Xiaoming and the other three coming, he came over to parasitize them, regardless of whether it was prepared by the Hydra or not. In the end, he failed to steal the chicken and lost the rice, and even got himself into trouble. After eating beehive, his abilities were gradually absorbed and mastered by Xiaoming. These are later stories. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1085. As the ancient leader of the Inhumans, Hive has very strong combat power and excellent survival ability. However, compared with Xiaoming, his ability is nothing. Xiaoming has better versions of most abilities. For example, Hive can release parasites to eat the target, replenish energy, and even regenerate the body. Xiaoming can swallow the target whole with his insect-human ability. Replenishing energy is a piece of cake. Xiaoming can even store the target's excellent genetic information in the gene bank of the insect-human. In terms of regenerating the body, after integrating part of the life essence of the Chimera ant guard Yuppie, Xiaoming can now do it casually. Hive can also release a large group of flying parasites for attack or defense. The power is still good, but compared with Xiaoming's various offensive and defensive methods, it is simply not up to par. I won't compare them in detail here. The only ability Xiaoming does not have is the ability of Hive to release parasites to easily persuade the Inhumans to surrender. Xiaoming really does not have this ability. But he was not envious. Compared with the Inhumans, his Zergs were even better. The main body of the Hive was actually a group of parasites, and the human body was just a host. When the Hive parasitized a person, it would obtain all the memories of that person. This was more powerful than Xiaoming. After Xiaoming devoured the target, he could only obtain part of the memory, and the specific part depended entirely on fate. This absorption method actually came from the Zerg. Absorbing too much memory is not necessarily a good thing. The strong emotions of the target can easily affect one's own personality. Therefore, the Zerg's way of absorbing by chance is also to deliberately avoid unnecessary influence. The so-called by chance is just Xiaoming's feeling. In fact, the instinct of the Zerg will deliberately avoid emotions that are harmful to themselves when absorbing part of the target's memory. For centuries, the Hive was exiled to the planet Maveth, and Hydra would send a person to the Hive every once in a while. Therefore, the Hive not only knows the history of the Earth in the Marvel Universe very well, but also learned multiple languages, various combat skills, and some science and technology. Xiaoming only got a small part of these things in bits and pieces. In the end, only this small part of knowledge was still somewhat useful to Xiaoming. It mainly allowed Xiaoming to have a certain understanding of the Earth in the Marvel Universe. When he encounters this world again in the future, he will not be completely in the dark. Of course, after absorbing the honeycomb, Xiaoming can also easily make some flying parasites to scare people for fun. Seeing that this planet was extremely boring, Xiaoming, Xiaojing, and Zhaozhou activated the return stone and returned to the Europa Tea restaurant. The three people were not very happy. Xiaoming had a little bit of gain, but his sister and the little Dragon King had no sense of accomplishment at all. They wandered around on a deserted planet for several hours in vain. It would be strange if they could be happy. Zhaozhou also understood that even if he drifted again, the result would probably not be much better, and there was no point in being angry. In order to save face, he invited Xiaoming and his sister to play in a known small world together. This is a small world controlled by the Dragon Clan. You can't enter with a drifting card, and it can only be brought in by a few members of the Dragon Clan. This world is beautiful and wonderful, and it is also a world that Xiaoming is familiar with, Pandora. Under the control of the dragons, this world will not be invaded by humans or other races. Several human protagonists accepted by the NA6 in the original Avatar, such as Jack, Grace, Judy, etc., have long passed away. After the major tribes on Pandora defeated humans together, they returned to their previous state of coexistence with nature. The dragons did not interfere with the development of this planet, but only maintained that this planet would not be destroyed. Occasionally, some dragon sons and grandsons would come to play, and they might bring friends. They regarded Pandora as a holiday resort. And it's not just that. Although Pandora is smaller than the Earth, it is not very small. There is also a large ocean on it. There is not much description of the ocean in the original book. When the reincarnation space created this planet, it appropriately supplemented the creatures in the ocean. But there was no trouble to innovate, just using the images of marine creatures from other worlds to fill the gaps. Since the planet fell into the claws of the dragon clan, it is normal to build a dragon palace in the ocean. The place where Xiaoming and his sister and Zhao Zhuzhu landed on Pandora was the teleportation array located in the dragon palace. While Xiaojing was shocked by the exquisite architecture, decoration, and furnishings in the dragon palace, Xiaoming was recalling the experience of the previous second. Although his body arrived at the dragon palace, his soul was delayed for a second elsewhere. Your soul feels a little familiar. Have we met before? Or have you met a similar existence to me? Xiaoming confirmed that his soul came to someone else's spiritual space. Because the situation at this moment is very similar to the situation when he used Tsukuyomi to extract other people's souls before. A being whose appearance is not clear, and even the difference between men and women, stands in front of Xiaoming and asks him questions. The voice of the soul makes Xiaoming feel very gentle. He recognized it at once. This should be the native goddess Eva of Pandora. Xiaoming really met Eva from another world. Helped her solve some problems and received generous gifts from Eva. Not only did Eva learn the skill of transferring souls, but Eva also raised the spiritual power of Xiaoming's 3 souls at that time to the 6th level. Very powerful to say. It's a pity that Hong Xiaoming's soul had not yet condensed at that time, so he could not get this advantage. Xiaoming only obtained the seeds of red source energy after experiencing beyond the Aquila Rift. Then he shaped the soul of Hong Xiaoming. The Zerg quickly took advantage. Red Xiaoming attached himself to the body of the insect king Lu Xiaoming and went to the Zerg territory in the Chu galaxy. The spiritual sea of the Zerg gave Hong Xiaoming the 6th level of primary spiritual power. After a long period of tempering in the soul gem, there must be some slight growth. Hong Xiaoming's body is that of the Protoss. The initial state is the attribute of level 4D, much stronger than the normal state of human beings. Unfortunately, compared to the other 3 bodies, this god's body is still too weak. But it doesn't matter, as long as the insect king continues to eat, this body will continue to be nourished. Sooner or later we will catch up. The reason why the goddess Eva in this world feels kind to Xiaoming's soul. It's probably because Eva in another world once gave Xiaoming spiritual power. Loosely speaking, the 2 Evas are twins of the same origin and species. Oh no, they should have been created during Anne's pregnancy. Their mental powers are almost exactly the same. It is normal for her to feel close to each other. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1086. This Eva is much stronger than the one Xiaoming met in the reincarnation world. She actually temporarily intercepted Xiaoming's soul. However, this Eva should not know the existence of the reincarnation space, otherwise she would probably understand why she felt a sense of familiarity with Xiaoming. Xiaoming didn't know what to say, he could only say that he had indeed met a being similar to Eva, and the other party helped him strengthen his mental power. Then the goddess' curiosity was immediately aroused. She asked Xiaoming repeatedly if he could help introduce her. Eva has been trapped in the small world and is still quite lonely. Theoretically, she should have lived for millions of years, or even tens of millions of years. She should be accustomed to loneliness. But in fact, She was created with the world of Avatar and did not really live that long. The time she really lived was from the beginning of the Avatar world, to Pandora being locked as a private world and isolated from the reincarnation space, and then to the present. Maybe it's longer than 1,000,000 years, maybe only tens of thousands of years, or even hundreds of years. It's understandable to feel lonely. It would have been fine if she didn't know there were people of the same kind before, but Xiaoming's arrival today gave her an inexplicable sense of intimacy. From Xiaoming's spiritual power, Eva felt the power of her kind, and she would no longer be lonely if she had people of the same kind. That's why she took Xiaoming's soul out alone. But this made it difficult for Xiaoming. Where could he find a person of the same kind for Eva? Now he can't even enter the reincarnation space. As far as Xiaoming knows, the closest person to Eva is himself. What should I do? Who dares to provoke such a powerful existence? But Xiaoming can't do what she asked. What should I do? Waiting online, very urgent. If you think about it carefully, Eva is actually quite pitiful. In this small world, only Pandora is real, and the others are fake. The gas planet Polyphemus that Pandora orbits is purely a background board, other satellites orbiting Polyphemus are also fake. As for the 3 stars in Alpha Centauri, they are even less real. It is all thanks to the power of the Dragon Clan that Pandora has been replenishing light sources. Otherwise, Pandora would have become a dead star long ago. Due to the limitations of the small world, Eva's mental power cannot detect anything at all, and she can never see any other planets, which is very boring. The Dragon Clan naturally knows her existence, but for some reason, the Dragon Clan did not take the initiative to contact Eva. The Dragon sons and grandsons who came here for tourism and vacation are all protected by the reincarnation space. Eva can't contact. The only one who is not protected in this way is Xiaoming now. Even Xiaojing or soul, Eva can't just take it over to chat. Therefore, even if there is no such inexplicable intimacy, Eva is 70% likely to find Xiaoming to talk alone. Xiaoming seized the time to use his brain and finally came up with a solution. In fact, it was Xiaoming's own approach. As long as Eva creates an avatar, he will be sure to bring her avatar to the real world. At that time, whether she will go to find her own kind or wander around for fun is up to her. It's just a clone anyway, so it's impossible for her to suffer much loss. Xiaoming told Eva about this idea, which was exactly what she wanted. However, Eva refused the suggestion of learning the shadow clone technique. She looked up and down at Yin Xiaoming's soul for a while, and continued to laugh, haha, interesting. I'll try this. Which one? Just when Xiaoming was confused, he suddenly felt that his mind power had undergone some abnormal changes. Then, a uniform series of mind beasts took the initiative to appear in front of Xiaoming. Xiaoming's uniform series of mind beasts are actually clothes, and the people inside are virtual. So these uniform mind beasts can be worn by people. Sometimes, Xiaoming will let his shadow clone wear a uniform. Use multiple powers together. Because of her powerful ability, Eva stuffed her clone into a uniform of Xiaoming. Formed a peculiar combination. Eva chose not the powerful Chimera alien Queen Xiaohe, nor the various female monsters in the Beastman Girl series. It was the gray reporter uniform in the professional uniform branch. Eva chose the reporter uniform instead of the more powerful Xiaohe or Beast Girl for a simple reason. She didn't need a powerful uniform because she was already powerful enough. There was no need for combat power. The telekinetic prop that came with the reporter uniform was the camera, which could share Xiaoming's vision and record everything Xiaoming saw and heard. This was like making a movie. Everything Xiaoming saw could be seen by the reporter uniform, so Eva's clone could see it, and Eva's original body could naturally be shared. How could this be? Xiaoming's privacy was gone. Fortunately, his level was high enough now, so he didn't need to go to the toilet or take a shower. Otherwise, everything would be seen. Eva sensed Xiao Ming's rebellious thoughts. She immediately assured him that she would never look around. Only when Xiao Ming summoned her would she start recording everything she could see. She would never infringe on Xiao Ming's privacy. This made Xiao Ming feel stable. Eva learned the word privacy after she saw through Xiao Ming's thoughts. Before, the entire Pandora was under her surveillance, and every creature didn't mind being seen by the goddess. She didn't understand the concept of privacy at all. Besides, Xiao Ming's personal strength was not enough for her to care. In fact, the real reason for her concession was the soul gem. When Eva forcibly merged her clone with the reporter's uniform, this clone parasitized in Xiao Ming's soul, sharing the perception of Xiao Ming's entire soul. What she felt at the first time was not the few energy saplings deep in Xiao Ming's soul, but the underworld where Red Xiao Ming was, that is, the soul gem. Feeling that Xiao Ming seemed dissatisfied, the soul gem certainly had to protect its own civil servants. The power of the underworld frightened Eva in an instant. Her behavior of forcibly parasitizing Xiao Ming's soul has violated the reverse scale of the soul gem. If the gem could speak, it would probably be the set of words. You dare to tamper with the soul of the civil servant I'm interested in. Do you think I'm a soul gem for nothing? Fortunately, Eva gave in time, promised Xiao Ming that she would not invade his privacy, and obtained Xiao Ming's permission. Otherwise, the soul gem would probably really take action to remove her. Of course, Xiao Ming himself did not feel this extremely high-level game at all. He really thought that Eva was such a kind existence, and silently gave the goddess 32 likes in his heart. From now on, the reporter uniform is parasitized by the goddess Eva's clone. As long as Xiao Ming summons the reporter uniform, he will summon Eva's clone. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1087. From Eva chatting with Yin Xiaoming's soul alone, to parasitic subduing the mind beast, and reaching an understanding with the soul gem. This long list of things seemed like a lot, but only a moment passed. Not even for a second. This is the power of the goddess. The 2-in-1 dragon arrived at the teleportation array of Pandora Dragon Palace. At this time, Xiao Ming's reporter uniform has been parasitized by Eva's clone. Xiao Ming found this matter very interesting. This time it was Eva who took the initiative to parasitize. Next time, can I get other souls to parasitize me? Technically there shouldn't be any difficulty, I can control the soul myself. However, the free will of the other party must be respected and cannot be forced upon others. Teacher, sister leader, what do you think? Should we take a walk around the Dragon Palace first, or go directly to the surface? Xiao Jing'er was not surprised that there was no water in the Dragon Palace. After all, there was no water in the Dragon Palace in Europa. She raised her neck and curiously admired the blue sea bottom at the top of the Dragon Palace. And there are many strange-shaped creatures on the seabed. The seabed and the surface are completely different worlds. Even the underwater creatures on Pangu planet are already very strange. What's more, most of the underwater creatures here come from aliens and from various reincarnation worlds. There are more weird varieties. Xiao Jing'er is a top student and is interested in biology itself. As a girl, I am irresistible to shiny and cute little animals, and my eyes are open to them. Xiao Ming thought for a while. You can see the creatures under the sea but you can't hold them. It's better to go to the ground, where there are many cute animals. Besides, the Mid-Autumn Festival is about admiring the moon. There is no moon to see under the sea. So he said to Jizhu, Brother Jizhu, I think we should go up, right? Up there. Wait a minute. You can't leave for now. Just when the little silver dragon was about to activate the teleportation array again, a sea general with a helmet on his head came to the three of them in a flash. Xiao Ming felt friendly to the sea tribe general at first sight. Because this is an 8-armed Naga. A level master. Xiaoming's game character Diver is a four-armed Naga, so when he saw a Naga for the first time in reality, Xiaoming naturally felt familiar with it. But they are not here to recognize their relatives. Seeing Naga holding four fists in his hands, he bowed to Terakyushu first. Then he pointed at Xiaoming and said, "Your Highness, this person has exceeded level A, according to the regulations of Pandora Dragon Palace. He cannot just go to the ground like this." Little Silver Dragon was a little confused. He had never encountered this regulation before and really didn't know. Hearing this, I felt a little embarrassed. After all, he invited the Xiaoming brothers and sisters. I used the drift card before, but the effect was not good, and I lost the dragon once. This time when I came to Pandora, something like this happened again, and Zhao Kyushu was very unhappy. He wondered in his mind, could it be that some dragon was deliberately targeting him? How outrageous! Judging from Kyushu's appearance, he seems to have a tendency to get angry. Xiaoming quickly stopped him with words. "Don't want to turn a misunderstanding into a conflict." Just now, Xiaoming was also observing the life energy of the Naga general. It can be seen that he is not targeting humans or Xiaoming. But Pandora Dragon Palace does have this rule. Two strong masters appear on the surface of Pandora, which can easily cause unnecessary problems. Therefore, Pandora Dragon Palace stipulates that masters above level B cannot appear on the surface of Pandora. Of course, this regulation is not absolutely fair. The dragons themselves are not subject to restrictions. This regulation applies to all non-dragon visitors. Mind reading showed that the Naga general had no intention of starting a fight if he disagreed. He still respected the guests brought by the Dragon Prince. For masters above level A, he has more respect from warriors. Moreover, the Dragon Palace has special measures. There is no need to drive away Xiaoming, it only needs to suppress Xiaoming's combat effectiveness. Not a big deal. But if Zhao Zhuzhu gets angry on the spot, it is easy to turn a small matter into a big one. So Xiaoming must speak quickly. This general makes sense. "No problem, no problem. Please help me suppress my strength." Zhao Zhuzhu was stunned when he heard this, and realized that he had just gotten a little drunk. "I never thought there was a way to suppress strength." Xiaoming's words suddenly made him realize. "You do not say." There are many props for suppressing strength in the reincarnation space. This is not intended to make things difficult. I just don't know what kind of method Pandora Dragon Palace uses. In fact, the eight-armed Naga came up with 3 methods for Xiaoming to choose from. Fairy spells, prop necklaces, and the last one is a living insect-like device, about the size of a child's fist, and a bit scary in appearance. However, Xiaoming is optimistic about this. Pointing at the insect, he asked, "General, can you give this to me?" "What do you mean?" Naga couldn't help but glance at Zhao Zhuzhu. Then he said very generously, "No problem, you are a distinguished guest of Dragon Palace, you can just take it away." The usage of this device is like this. This device is adjustable. It can set the upper limit of the wearer's strength, from low level to B level. Why does Xiaoming like this? Of course it is because it can be copied. It would not be difficult to replicate this kind of living device as long as the insect king Lu Xiaoming eats it. He felt that after having this device, it would be easier to practice martial arts. There is no need to look for a world where you can suppress your own strength. When he actually used it later, Xiaoming realized that he had oversimplified things. Suppressing strength is not equal to can cultivate internal strength. In fact, internal force is also a kind of supernatural energy. People with strong martial arts, such as the 5 great masters of the Central Plains, are already at the level of 3rd or 4th level. That is, D-level combat power. Even these martial arts masters may be even more powerful in actual combat. If all supernatural energies are suppressed, Xiaoming will not be able to practice martial arts smoothly. Instead, his internal strength will be suppressed. Players are allowed to practice martial arts in the martial arts planet game because the game only recognizes internal force and does not recognize other supernatural energies. The two reincarnation worlds where Xiaoming was able to practice the internal force of Changshengju should be martial arts type worlds. Other supernatural energies are prohibited, and only martial arts are allowed. If Xiaoming encounters a world like the police and gangster movies where there is no internal force, he will not be able to practice Changshengju. Oh damn, it's a waste of effort. Xiaoming was indignant about this for a while. Later, he found that this thing is still useful. At least suppressing strength can make it more interesting to play in many worlds or secret realms. It's meaningless to always use a level or above strength to crush the opponent. The most important thing is that Xiaoming installed this thing himself and can adjust it by himself. When you really need to take action, just adjust the device or turn it off. You won't really put yourself in a dangerous situation. If you use it on the enemy, haha, it will be interesting. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1088. Wood Sprites, Seeds of a Tree Called Yutreamakri. They are not the wood sprites in the game. They are a bit like dandelion seeds. The difference is that the fluff of dandelion seeds is straight, while the fluff of wood sprites is all bent down, looking like lanterns. Wood sprites float in the air with the wind and glow at night. Countless wood sprites float in the air at night, a bit like fireflies. Yutreamakri is the tree of souls and is extremely sacred to the Na6 people. The Na6 people believe that all lives favored by wood sprites are kind. The male protagonist in the original book was accepted by the Na6 people because he was favored by wood sprites. Fan lizard, probably the creature with the strangest movement on Pandora. This creature, which is no more than half a meter long, lies motionless on trees during the day, like a dead branch. They do not have wings on their backs, but a structure similar to a helicopter propeller, shaped like fan blades. At night, these blades will emit a beautiful rose-red light. The blades rotate like a propeller, which can drive the lizard to fly. It looks like a glowing flying disc, which is very beautiful. However, when the propeller rotates, the lizard's body also rotates rapidly. Xiaoming has only one question: will it feel dizzy after landing? The peacock deer, hexapod, is a very elegant herbivore. It looks very much like a sika deer and has dark blue skin. There are no antlers on the top of the head, but two horn-like fan-shaped membranes instead. This pair of membranes looks like a peacock with its tail spread, hence the name. The rest of the Pandora monkeys, viper wolves, heavy armored horses, death beasts, hammer-headed thunder beasts, stam beasts, banshee-winged beasts, lion-eagle-winged beasts, etc. are all very interesting. After all, Xiaoming had lived on Pandora for more than 2 years, and had a very good relationship with the Na6 people, and knew all the common animals and plants. At this time, he naturally became a tour guide for his sister. Introduced various animals and plants one by one. From time to time, I would catch 2 of them for my sister to play with. We can ride on anything that can be ridden. Xiaojing'er doesn't have the Na6 braids, which are external nerve organs, but they don't need them now. You know, Eva's clone is parasitic in Xiaoming's soul. The creatures on Pandora can't tell the difference, so they simply regard Xiaoming as a part of Eva. Basically, if you want to ride that kind of animal, just wave your hand. There will be no animals or plants that will attack them. In such a world, my sister is simply crazy. In the end, they all rode the most powerful lion-eagle-winged beast and flew high in the sky until night. The moon was bright and the stars were sparse, so the 3 of them found a beautiful place to drink and enjoy the moon. Pandora is a satellite of the gas giant Polyphemus. This planet has more than a dozen satellites that are either far or near. So there are usually 2-3 moons in the night sky of Pandora. Raise a glass to invite the bright moon, and invite several at a time. This Mid-Autumn festival is worth it. Pandora is not a place you can visit in one day. If you watch carefully, you can eat, drink and have fun here for a lifetime. Xiaoming once spent 2 years on Pandora. Now he is revisiting the old place and still feels very interested. Not to mention his sister Xiao Jing'er, who has just come to this precious place. I guess she would be willing to live here for a few years. Unfortunately, they have to go back to school next Monday, so Xiaoming and his sister and Zhao Zhou, who only played in Pandora for 2 days and 2 nights. September 11th, which is August 16th in the lunar calendar, is also Sunday. At midnight on this day, his sister and Zhao Zhou, who entered the reincarnation space together to do the task. Xiaoming was left alone outside. 3 minutes later, they all came back. It seems that they didn't stay in the space for a long time. Xiaoming was very relieved. Xiao Jing'er talked about her experience in this reincarnation world for an hour or so, and finally fell asleep in her brother's arms. The remaining Xiaoming and Zhao Zhou, who continued to chat for a while before leaving this small world. If it weren't for the fact that this was the small world of the Dragon Clan, Xiaoming would have left his clone so that he could come back to play. It was such a pity that Xiaoming didn't even take a small animal or a plant with him. Xiaoming had brought these things out of the reincarnation world before, and most of them are now in Xiaoming's private world. Xiaoming took his sister back to Pangustar via Europa. He quietly sent his sister back to the dormitory so that she wouldn't be late tomorrow morning. It happened that Li Qingzhao, the 6th daughter of the Li family, who shared the same dormitory with Xiao Jing'er, met her. She also went home for the Mid-Autumn festival and had just returned to school not long ago. Seeing Xiaoming sending his sister back, he chatted with Xiaoming for a few more words, discussing some experiences in spiritual power cultivation. By chance, Li Qingzhao asked about the things that were given to Xiaoming at the beginning. The certificate for entering the Li family's class A Holy Land, the bamboo tube. Xiaoming scratched his head and laughed, "Haha, I seem to have forgotten it. I've been leaving it there gathering dust." Li Qingzhao rolled her eyes at Xiaoming with her bright eyes, as if she saw through Xiaoming's cunning mind. Then she said proudly, "I don't believe you. If you don't need it, just give it back to me. I'll exchange something with you." Xiaoming smiled and nodded in agreement. Miss Six couldn't resist Xiaoming's telepathy. This operation of getting the bamboo tube back seemed casual, but it was actually intentional. Every certificate of the Li family to enter the Holy Land is recorded. And it can be tracked, and it is clear at a glance whether the certificate has been used. It was the arrangement of the head of the Li family that the bamboo tube was sent to Xiaoming through Li Qingzhao. On the one hand, he wanted Xiaoming to see the Holy Land of the Li family and appreciate the strength of the Li family. On the other hand, he also wanted the Li family seniors in the Holy Land to observe Xiaoming carefully. See if this person is reliable. Xiaoming has not used it, and the Li family understands it. People will be a little defensive. The Li family did not intend to use the bamboo tube to harm Xiaoming, and they have a clear conscience. After a long time, Xiaoming will naturally use it. I never expected that Xiaoming would become a ghost messenger after not seeing him for a few days. Now things are different. People who are recognized by the underworld do not need to be examined in terms of quality. It is too presumptuous to show off the strength of the Li family to the members of Bai's Hangcliffe. The Li family does not want to lose this person. Of course, what the Li family is most worried about is that although the Li family seniors in the Holy Land are not bad people, they have a bit of a weird temper. It may be easy to offend people. They don't know that Zhang Xiaoming is a ghost messenger. If a prank is played and Xiaoming is offended, this will not be a good thing. Although this possibility is not great, the Li family dare not take the risk. They have always wanted to take back the bamboo tube. The problem is how to do this thing carelessly. Don't let Xiaoming think that the Li family does not want him to enter the Holy Land because of this, which will cause Xiaoming's dissatisfaction. That would be superfluous. So this task fell on the third young master Li Anhao and the sixth young lady Li Qingzhao. Li Songrui, that little loli, is unreliable. Today, Li Qingzhao met Xiaoming and happened to complete the task by the way. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1089. Xiaoming read the Li family's thoughts from Li Qingzhao's mind, and since they had no bad intentions towards him, he took the opportunity to return the bamboo tube. In fact, Xiaoming had never forgotten the bamboo tube. The reason he did not use it was because he was worried that there was something fishy about the Li family's holy land. It was not until he was selected by the soul gem that Xiaoming felt relieved. He believed that the Li family would not dare to play any tricks on the ghost messenger of the underworld. He had planned to use the bamboo tube to visit the Li family's holy land after the interview was completely completed. Now the Li family wanted to take it back, and the reason was very reliable. Xiaoming had no reason to refuse. It was definitely not bribed by the gift that the Li family was going to give. Absolutely not. Seeing Xiaoming agreed, Miss Six felt relieved. If this matter was resolved, she could get more points in the family. Of course, it would cost a price to exchange the bamboo tube. Li Qingzhao showed off her wealth and placed a row of books on the table, which turned out to be various formations in Jin Dada's novels. What are the Shaolin Arhat formation, Wudang Jinwu 7-section formation, Beggar Gang dog beating formation, Hongshan sword formation, and so on? Li Qingzhao smiled and said, I heard from my third brother that you can create a lot of undead. These are the various formations collected by my family. I wonder if the leader can use the undead to set up the formation. It's true that Xiaoming is very interested in formations. But not for the undead, but for the 7 monsters of Jiangnan. Except for himself, the internal strength of the 7 monsters of Jiangnan has reached the top level of the 7 sons of Quanzhen. The operation of connecting internal strength is also completely possible. After all, everyone has been practicing the Changshengju together. The power is greater when they cooperate. In the short term, it is difficult for everyone's internal strength to be greatly improved. Now if we face the 5 wonders of the Central Plains, we are still not strong enough. It is best to have a suitable formation. Xiaoming has been thinking about how to get the Tiangangbaidu formation from the Quanzhen section. I have never thought of a good idea. The Li family is really a timely reign. Among the arrays listed, there is the Quanzhen Sex Tiangangbaidu array. Although there are more options now, Xiaoming finally chose this array. The Shaolin Arhat array requires 108 people to set up the array, and the Beggar Gang's dog beating array requires at least dozens of people. Neither of these two is suitable. The Jinwu 7 section array, the positive and negative Tuyin sword array, the Hongshan sword array, these arrays all require special sword and knife techniques to cooperate. If you don't know those martial arts, these arrays are useless. Shaolin's Vajra subduing demon circle can be set up by 3 people. In fact, the Jiangnan 7 freaks often act in groups of 3, which seems very good. But the Vajra subduing demon circle requires the Buddhist mind method to match, which is several times more difficult. Xiaoming can only give up helplessly. There are not many options left. After looking around, the Tiangangbaidu array is still the most suitable. Even ordinary disciples of the Quanzhen sect can learn it, which shows that it is not difficult. It is suitable for wild people like the Jiangnan 7 freaks. Not only can the 7 freaks of Jiangnan set up a formation, Xiaoming can even use a large number of shadow clones to set up a more powerful 98-member Big Dipper formation in the later stage. Even more awesome. Of course, even if you can't get 7 people together, and only have 3 people to form a team, you can still exert some power. Don't underestimate it. Even if you meet masters like Huang Yaoshi, Wang Feng, or Qiu Qinren, although you can't beat them, you can still resist for a while. You won't be powerless to resist. In addition, Xiao Ming has been asking his brothers to practice the hidden weapon techniques of Manti and Huiyu. If we throw out a lot of hidden weapons, it won't be a problem for us to escape. In the original work, if the many masters of Zhao Wangfu were not blocked in the house by Huang Yaoshi, they would probably run away. It is not necessarily possible to do such a shameful thing as crawling under someone's crotch. Xiao Ming picked up the secret book of Tiangang Big Dipper formation with great care, thanked Li Qingzhao, and gave her 2 spiritual fruits before teleporting away. After returning home, he immediately began to read tirelessly. Xiaoming's souls are connected to each other. Yin Xiaoming reads at home, and Huang Xiaoming in The Legend of the Condor Heroes is also absorbing knowledge together. It will take some time to understand thoroughly. Xiaoming should memorize the whole text first. Understand it slowly. In the martial arts planet game, the characteristic of the secret realm is that the speed of time is uncertain. Even if Huang Xiaoming stays in the game all the time, he doesn't know how many days have passed. From meeting Guojing and Huang Rong to now, 4 or 5 days have passed in reality. In the game, it's hard to say. Anyway, Guojing has learned all the 18 palms of the dragon subduing. With the IQ of this stupid boy, it must have been at least a month. Xiao Huangrong's internal strength of the Changsheng Ju has improved a lot. She practices martial arts purely based on her mood. Being able to practice internal strength with Guojing, this ghost girl is very hard. The realm is improved rapidly. In the evening of this day, Nan Ziren, who was operated by Xiaoming, was a little confused. Mu Nianci, who practiced with him, immediately sensed it. She opened her eyes and looked at her master in confusion, and saw Nan Ziren put his finger in front of his mouth, signaling her not to make a sound. He listened attentively. Suddenly he picked up his apprentice, jumped up, and threw a handful of stones. More than a dozen colorful poisonous snakes were killed in the grass. Jumping onto the tree branch, Xiaoming could see a large number of poisonous snakes swimming in a certain direction. The place where the 2 of them practiced was only affected at the edge, and there seemed to be a few people in white clothes in the snake group driving the snakes. Xiaoming immediately remembered this plot. Because the part in Zhao Wangfu did not happen, this was probably the first time Wang Ke appeared. He did not dare to take risks easily with Mu Nianci, and even if he wanted to keep Wang Ke now, it was probably unlikely. This guy will have a lot of roles in the future. The system will not let him die here and now easily. If Xiao Ming forces it, Wang Feng might appear earlier, so forget it. Don't meet Wang Ke. The master and apprentice hid in the tree for a long time, and only got down from the tree when the snakes were far away, and went to meet Hong Qigong and others. Xiao Ming was still a little worried. Guojing did not drink the blood of Liang Ziweng's big snake in this life, so the snakes would not be afraid of him, so don't really bite him. When they met, I realized that Hong Qigong did not suffer any loss with Guojing and Huang Rong, but took advantage of it more than in the original book. The internal skills of the Changsheng Ju practiced by the 3 people are in harmony with the breath of nature, which makes the snakes have no hostility towards the 3 people. Even make friends. No matter how hard the servants of Beichuo Mountain drive them, they can't let them attack the 3 people. Instead, because of excessive force, one servant was bitten back. Finally, Beichuoshan knew the snake venom well enough and quickly detoxified it, so he didn't lose his life. But to this extent, Wang Ke was already terrified. He thought that his ability to drive snakes and insects had been leaked, so the northern beggar Hong Qigong made preparations in advance. He felt a little more apprehensive. So, this time he was very humble, and although he said a few words, none of them were particularly tough. He was really worried that Hong Qigong would kill him, and this group of snakes could no longer provide him with security. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1090. Since it was their first meeting, and Wang Ke was polite, Hong Qigong and the other two could not bear to look at him. In fact, Hong, Guo, and Huang did not know Wang Ke's character at this time. Naturally, they were easily deceived. After chatting for a while, Wang Ke's fear gradually faded, and he noticed Huang Rong's beauty. He was immediately shocked by her beauty, and in his heart, she was better than all his concubines. However, Wang Ke was already 35 or 36, and Huang Rong was 20 years younger than her. This guy just wanted to eat tender grass. Poor. With the idea in his mind, it was naturally brought out in his eyes. Wang Ke looked at Huang Rong with a wretched look. Guo Jing was stupid and didn't notice it, but Huang Rong was very sensitive and immediately changed her attitude. He spoke coldly to him. Soon, Senior Hong Qigong also saw the meaning, so he waved his hand and ordered Wang Ke to leave quickly. Before leaving, the young master of Beichuo Mountain looked back frequently, reluctant to leave. Although Wang Ke's behavior was a bit annoying, he was a food-loving person, and Rong was so beautiful, it was not surprising that he liked her. Hong Qigong and the other two did not care much about this matter at this time, and they did not expect how much trouble this person would cause in the future. Not long after, Nan Ziren brought Mu Nianxi over, and the two sides talked about this matter. Xiaoming told all the information about Wang Feng, Wang Ke, uncle, nephew, and father and son, saying that he had inquired about it in the martial arts world. In particular, he exaggerated Wang Ke's lustful temperament. Guo Jing was his apprentice, so Xiaoming would certainly side with him. He had to rush to completely destroy Wang Ke's chance. He said that Wang Ke's love for Huang Rong was because the West Poison coveted the East Evil's ability and wanted to use this method to deceive him. Little Huang Rong was furious. Hong Qigong was still drumming on the side. Based on his understanding of Wang Feng, he felt that Elder Nan's guess was very likely to be true. We must be on guard. Then several people talked about how to deal with the snake formation. In this life, Hong Qigong didn't have to worry about himself. With the Changshengju as a foundation, these snakes couldn't hurt him. But the beggars in the beggar gang didn't have the Changshengju, so what should they do? Xiaoming suggested that all beggar gang disciples should carry a certain amount of realgar with them. In this way, they wouldn't be afraid of people from Beichuo Mountain. In reality, snakes just don't like the taste of realgar and the sulfur component in it. That's why they hide away. They are not really hurt by realgar. And it's not just snakes that hate sulfur, humans don't like it either. If realgar is always carried with you, it will also harm the human body. However, this is not the real world, but the secret realm of the legend of the Condor heroes. In this secret realm, realgar has a miraculous effect on snakes. The West Poison is the most troublesome villain in this secret realm, and it's a good thing to prepare more realgar to deal with his snakes. At the same time, Xiaoming suggested that the beggars gang should mobilize their power to get more snake venom medicine, and the masters in the gang should carry some with them, just in case. Everyone thought this suggestion made sense. Hong Qigong and Nan Ziren traveled together, mainly to teach Nan Ziren martial arts. Now Nan Ziren and Guo Jing have both learned the 18 dragon subduing palms. There is no need to stay together. The 5 people parted ways at this time, and the leader Hong Qigong returned to the beggars gang headquarters to prepare realgar. Guo Jing and Huang Rong continued to live in their own world, all the way to Jiaxing. Of course, on the way, they would also prepare realgar for themselves. Guo Jing originally wanted to go on the road with the 4th master, but Xiaoming would never be a light bulb for them. He found an excuse to decline. Rong was very smart and guessed Nan Ziren's intention at once. He just felt that the 4th master was too considerate. When they parted, they gave Nan Ziren several grateful eyes in a row. Guojing was very happy to see Rong and the fourth master getting along well. Xiaoming knew that the location where the next main plot would begin was at Giun Manor, Tehu Lake, which was also Luya Manor. A series of characters would appear. His brothers would also come. Thinking that the Tehu Lake bandits headed by Lu Guining were also good men of the Han family, the Jin Yuan Bao plan just needed them. Xiaoming took Mu Nianzi and asked the disciples of the beggars sect to lead the way and rushed to Luya Manor. Guo and Huang were not in a hurry, and they naturally fell behind Nan Ziren on the way. The beggars sect was very powerful and had a large number of people. It was easy to find Giun Manor and sent people to inform the Tehu Lake bandits in advance. The Tehu Lake bandits were not very famous in the world. They felt honored to hear that the elder of the beggars sect, Nan Ziren, had arrived. Nan Ziren came to pay his respects, which gave the bandits a great face. All the leaders came to greet him respectfully. Looking at their leader Lu Guining, who was only a disciple of the Xiangxia sect, a branch of Shaolin Temple, and whose martial arts were not as good as Yangkong at that time, we can see the face of the Tehu bandits. Originally, Ma Qingxiang, the soul-stealing whip of the four Yellow River ghosts, was also mixed in the Tehu bandits and was considered a spy of the Jin kingdom. He was killed by Lu Guining in the original book. At this time, the Zhao Palace had changed its strategy and set its sights on the Mongols. The four Yellow River ghosts were all sent to the desert, and Ma Qingxiang was naturally not here. However, there were too many people in the bandits who did not know the details. There might be spies from the Song government or some other forces, and there were many things that could not be said. On the surface, Nan Ziren was just here to pay a visit. After the welcome ceremony, Lu Guining naturally took Nan Ziren and his apprentice to Gianzhuang for a short stay. When the two of them talked alone, Xiaoming explained the real purpose of his visit. Of course, he did not mention the details of the Jin Yuan Bao plan. He just talked about training. Lu Guining's Tehu bandits are actually more like an army than the beggars section. If Lu Guining can train well, he will also be a strong army. Xiaoming, in line with the principle of hitting three poles, gave him a copy of Wu Mu's last book handwritten by Mu Nianzi. Yu Fei's reputation among the people and in the martial arts world is almost godlike. Lu Guining was so excited to get the military book of Grandpa Yu. He almost kowtowed to Nan Ziren. This kid's character is still quite reliable. Xiaoming repeatedly told him that this book should not be shown to anyone else except him and his father. Lu Guining, the leader of the group, naturally knew what Xiaoming was worried about, and immediately made a solemn oath. After that, Nan Ziren and Mu Nianzi stayed. Every day, he planned various matters with Lu Guining. When he had time, he also gave him some advice on martial arts. Lu Guining had not yet received the true teachings of Peach Blossom Island, and it was not rude for the elders of the beggars sect to give him a few words of advice. Lu Guining's father is Lu Chengfeng, one of the disciples of Huang Yaoshi, the East Evil, and the fourth child. He was dragged down by Chen Xianfeng and Mei Chaofeng, and was expelled from Peach Blossom Island by Huang Yaoshi after his tendons were cut. He settled here and established Giun Manor. He never showed his martial arts in front of his son. After seeing the Wu Mu Testament, he couldn't sit still and came to thank Nan Ziren in person in a wheelchair. Xiaoming knew his background and naturally responded appropriately. Lu Chengfeng also admired what Nan Ziren did, and the two hit it off at first sight and regretted not meeting each other earlier.